Later on, I have to fix my headphones because it's falling off. Oh well. So, is your so don't be afraid to talk or ask questions, okay? And how has your mind been lately?
Um, my mind is quiet and relaxed. Um,
Quiet and
I like
relaxed?
to be in the yeah. I like to be in the uh, mm, what is Buddhist society.
The Sangha? Is that the it's like a Buddhist family,
Buddhist, yeah.
the Sangha.
Yeah. It's stronger.
Yeah,
They are very, very relaxed. Yeah.
they're
They are
very
very easygoing.
yeah, very easygoing and relaxed. And that's what the Buddha taught. He taught us dukkha, dukkha nirodha. And dukkha means it's translated as suffering, but a better translation is dissatisfaction. So the Buddha taught there is dissatisfaction, and he wants to get away from that. He wants to turn it into satisfaction. So dukkha, dukkha nirodha means uh, dissatisfaction and the cessation of dissatisfaction. And the cessation just means the ending of suffering or the ending of dissatisfaction. And that's what he always taught. And that's what the most important thing he taught out of everything was how to don't worry and to be happy here and now, right where we are, right where we sit. So how do we do that? It would be something like, let's say we're relaxing or trying to relax, but then we notice that worry is coming, dissatisfaction in the mind. So we have to get in the habit, we have to get in the practice of remembering to look how our body is doing, to see if there's any dissatisfaction there whatsoever. And if we can see that there's dissatisfaction, like the example I gave of worry, we remember to look and then we notice, we see that there's worry, there's dissatisfaction, there's suffering, so to speak. And then we change it with our right words and actions, nurturing words, wholesome actions. And the right effort to change that is just the right amount of effort until it does change. We don't have to work too hard about it. We can do it it's a very easy process. It's very easy to change our mind because whatever we think, uh, feel, or whatever our emotions are involved in, we have the power to change it. And and we can change it with nurturing thoughts, nurturing words and actions. Oh, hi, Sana.
Hi,
How are you doing?
How
I'm okay. I just saw the notification and I thought, oh shit, I thought I'd come and join.
Oh, great. It's so awesome to see you.
And you,
Wi- Can everybody say their name for each other?
I'm Sepida.
What's that?
I am Sepida.
Sepita. Okay. And
Yeah.
you.
I'm Sana.
She's little Sana, but
Yeah,
she's
little Sana.
mighty. Little but
Little but
mighty.
mighty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to
Can I
see
be
you.
Marty?
Yes, she's mighty. She's like what's that one giant? She's like Goliath.
Where are you from?
Sorry?
Where are you from? Which
From
country?
of the UK.
Oh, UK. Yeah, good.
Yeah. How about
Yeah,
you?
I'm from Iran.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
that's awesome. And I'm from Illinois. The greatest place on earth. No, not many
Wow.
people like it, but I think it's great. But...
Yeah.
So we were,
So,
go ahead,
and
Sana.
so I'm listening at the same time, but I'm a bit multitasking because
That's
I'm
okay.
making a cake recipe at the same time. Well, I'm finding the right ingredients.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We were just talking about the Buddha and the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path.
Hmm.
And his core teaching, like I was telling Sepita, is dukkha dukkha nirota. And dukkha just means dissatisfaction, but you've probably heard it translated as suffering. But dukkha dukkha nirota means there is suffering, there is dissatisfaction, and it is possible to dissolve it or to get rid of it. And it's possible to dissolve it and get rid of it through the Eightfold Path, which sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's just the whole Eightfold Path can be summed up into one phrase: don't worry, be happy, basically. And if we get more technical with it, throughout our day, we're just remembering to look in a balanced way at our mind and body, and we're seeing if there's any dissatisfaction there. And if we do find dissatisfaction, for instance, like I was telling Sepita, like worry or anxiety or fear, all we have to do is to remember to look at our mind and body, check in with ourselves and see how we're doing. And if there is fear, worry, or anxiety, in this example, we just change it with our wholesome, nurturing words, speech, inner speech and outer speech, and actions. For instance, if I see that I'm worried, I say, it's okay, nothing's wrong in this moment. And I come back to my breath and I take a deep breath of relief. This is the true meaning of anapanasati, which sati means remember, and anapanasati means remembering to look at our breathing. But really, people get confused and they want to sit down to meditate to get something. But the type of breathing you'll see in this example, it's much more user-friendly. So for instance, like I was saying, if we're worried or if we have fear, we first use our nurturing speech and actions, and we say, it's okay, don't worry. Uh, if I come back to the breath in this moment, I see that there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no pirates here, there's no tigers here, there's no alligators here. It's just me, it's just us right now talking. So there's nothing to be afraid of. And then we go, we take a sigh of relief, a breath of relief. That's the breathing that the Buddha was talking about. That feels good. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. And in this moment, we become feeling better immediately. And you get into a state that's kind of, they call it the unification, where it's kind of nice, peaceful samadhi state. And the important part is to remember, one of the most important parts is to remember the thing that's on the back of all shampoo bottles. Like one of my teachers says, he says, look at any shampoo bottle, and if you see the back of it, it will tell you how to practice Buddhism. Or rather than Buddhism, a better word would be Dhamma, because Dhamma means the truth of reality. It doesn't matter if you're Buddhist or any religion. All those words are just conceptual notions. They don't even matter. But on the back of the shampoo bottle, it says, rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. So throughout our day, we look, and you can remember it easily like this. Remember, look, change. That's the whole entirety of the Eightfold Path. Remember, look, change, and then rinse and repeat. And after we take our deep breath, when we change our worry or fear into something more wholesome with our nurturing speech, the nurturing speech that a mother might give a child when they're little, we take a deep sigh of relief and we pat ourselves on the back, and we don't forget to congratulate yourself and say, wow, I caught that fear in that moment. I caught that feeling that was causing me distress or dissatisfaction. And because I caught that and changed it, I'm able to congratulate myself and be content with the way things are here and now. And then I rinse and repeat the process, and it becomes easier over time. So much so that you can get sick and it's no big deal. You can die and it's no big deal. You can have everything fall apart around you and it's no big deal. You might even find yourself a hobo on the street and that's no big deal. It doesn't mean you like those things. It doesn't mean you want those things. But with this practice, you can learn to accept these things and find the goodness in every moment rather than the bad habits, what they call the sankharas of society, whose main goal is to make us miserable and get in bad habits of misery, such as complaining, bitching, screaming, fighting, yelling, anger, division, debating certain things with passion, causing us to fight with each other. And because when we're miserable, we buy lots of stuff. If we feel ugly, we buy lots of makeup. If we feel too fat, we buy gym memberships. If we want to get girls or guys, we get fancy clothes. We want to impress people with some hierarchy of social status, we get cars and houses. So, but a satisfied
Mm.
person, somebody who's satisfied in the moment, right here, right now, they're not going to be too concerned with getting makeup. They're not going to be too concerned with money, houses, fame, fortune. It doesn't mean that they can't necessarily acquire these things. They're just not, they have no desire to chase them because they're satisfied. So naturally,
Mm.
compassion arises. Naturally, a simple type of lifestyle will arise from this. And our mind, I always tell people, it's like a garden. At first, when you get into the Dhamma, when you start learning how to change your mind here and now, we find that our minds are usually filled with brambles and thorns and bushes and snakes and rabbits eating all our vegetables. But it takes a little time and effort to clean the land so that we can sow good things and get the soil nice and fertile. And we get the soil nice and fertile by utilizing the dissatisfaction, the suffering that naturally arises, and using it as a kind of nutrients in the soil to tend to our garden and bear good fruits. So it may seem overwhelming at first when we're beginning a spiritual journey. And everybody says spiritual journey, but what is a spiritual journey, What do we want when we're saying I want to get more spiritual? What do you guys think?
I think it's wanting to feel closer to peace, like internally.
Wow.
I think
Yes.
that's what a spiritual journey is, reaching that state of peace and calm. And you know
Wow.
what? Listening to you speak, just all of what you just said was really beautiful, and it helped me to fall into this moment more deeply because I felt your energy, how present it is, and it helped me to fall deeper into this moment. And I feel like um before I was a lot grounded in the present and I could fall deeply, and sometimes like fear or worries take over and you like become a bit, everywhere. So it's kind of really nice to have that
Hmm.
reminder.
Yeah, because when we get back to the breath, we run away, not run away, we gently dance around all this delusion because we're always constantly thinking of the future or the past, and we say, well, why am I not satisfied? Because we're not satisfied because we're running after anicca, dukkha, anatta, And anicca, dukkha, anatta in the Pali language is impermanence. Everything is dissatisfactory by nature is the second one. And the third one is there's no permanent self. So if you think things are permanent, if you think that things will last, you attach to them, you chase them, you get obsessed with them, causes great dukkha. And if you don't see reality for what it is, that reality, if you are chasing these things, reality will only cause dissatisfaction. That's the second aspect of reality. And the third one is there is no permanent self. And if we realize there's no permanent self, we naturally become more selfless. And people with big egos like Alexander the Great or Donald Trump or Joe Biden, they want to live forever. They don't realize that their self is not permanent. So they build big buildings with their names on it. They build big statues made of bronze and silver and gold, so that when they're gone, people will still remember them because they want what Sana was saying. When we practice spirituality, we do so because we want peace, we want satisfaction. But the Buddha realized going about it chasing things in the future or the past only brings more dissatisfaction. Because
I'll give you an example. I've
mm-hmm,
got one as well. So I always thought like when I get a new wheelchair, it will make me more happier and whatever. But it didn't actually change how I felt inside getting a new chair. You know what I mean? I
mm-hmm,
was still the same person. I'm just in a different vehicle. And it's
yes.
when you attach your happiness to like when I get this, I'll be happy, then you're never gonna be happy, you know what I mean? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that I've had to realize. Like you can't attain your happiness or when I get this, I'll feel peace. When I do this, I'll feel this. But how can
Mm-hmm.
you feel it right now in this moment? Because if you can't feel it now, then you're not gonna feel it when you get that thing.
Yes.
Um, that's what I feel.
What you just said, it reminds me of what I heard two actors say. One was Matthew Perry from the famous TV show Friends, and the other is Will Smith. And recently, I heard both of them say the same exact thing, even though Matthew Perry has passed. His was recorded before he passed, obviously, but they were both saying the same thing. They said, we spent our whole lives trying to get famous and rich, and we thought it would change everything. And yes, it was cool for 2 weeks, but before you know it, you find yourself in a mansion sitting alone with a drug habit or an alcohol habit, feeling lonely and things like this. And Will Smith said, I could afford to buy anything I've ever wanted. He's like, I have the most beautiful children who are very talented. I have the best wife. I have this, I have everything. And he's like, and none of it made me happy. None of it makes me happy. And they'll keep on chasing it till the day they die. So just like your wheelchair, your wheelchair is actually something more wholesome, if anything, to be
No,
attached to.
I mean
Yeah,
it is really cool, and
right. But
somebody
even
gifted it
that
me.
doesn't last.
I was attached to my wheelchair. Like if this goes, I'll feel, like I won't be
Mm-hmm.
able to move around and do stuff. And I had such an attachment to my wheelchair.
Mm.
Um, and I'm fortunate that I was fundraising for one, and someone gifted me theirs until I have enough money to get one. Um, so, but like you said, anytime, and it's a hard thing to, I guess, comprehend. But
Sorry, we were recording this sauna for YouTube, if that's okay.
oh, I didn't realize it
Oh,
was
no, no,
being recorded.
no, no, no. It's okay.
Okay,
What happened during you were talking, I accidentally pressed stop. So then I
okay,
just started recording again recently. So one,
okay, that's okay.
if you're okay with we're recording, we'll put it on YouTube. But if you don't want it to, it's no big deal to me. I can easily not put it on there. It's no big deal.
You
So
can put it on. It's okay.
okay. Well, the reason I brought it up anyways was because when you were just talking just there, I accidentally pressed pause, and then it cut off a little bit of what you said. So I wanted to make sure uh, that we talked more about what you were just saying or revisited it.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I was saying basically, um, attaining your happiness to when you get this, I'll be happy. When I get this, I'll be happy. But if you can't feel happy and peace in this moment right now, when you get that thing, it will
Mm,
make you happy for 2 weeks or for however long, and that feeling is going to wear off. But how can you create a sustained happiness and peace within you on a
mm,
daily basis? I think that is the most important thing.
yeah. How do we do that? That's a great question. And just like you said, if we know that the reality is that things in the physical world will only ever give us temporary sense pleasures, and if we know and have the wisdom that chasing these temporary, impermanent sense pleasures only causes dukkha, only causes more dissatisfaction, then we can let go of all that stuff. So if uh, any dissatisfaction comes from wanting something that we don't have right now, every dissatisfaction comes from wanting something that we don't. Even it could even turn into enlightenment. I want enlightenment, but I don't have it, so I'm going to feel dissatisfaction. Or I want to be the best spiritual teacher or practitioner. And if you feel like you're not that, then you have dissatisfaction. Or if I want to be the best Buddha, if I want to be the best Arahant, as they say in Theravada Buddhism, which is just basically like a fancy word for kind of like a pope of Buddhism and Theravada. But if you say, who cares if I'm an Arahant? Who cares if I ever get enlightened? Who cares about being perfect? Who cares about being the best spiritual practitioner? Who gives a shit? When you say that, you then become all those things you wanted, ironically, because you're satisfied with whatever may come, good or bad. Earthquakes may come, and you get used to the habit of repeating this type of mantra that's like, oh well, we'll see. That's something Ajahn Chah would talk about. He said, get in the habit of just saying, oh well, who cares? And they'll say, oh Sana, this happened. Oh well, who cares? Oh Sepita, this happened. Oh well, so what? We'll see what happens. We'll deal with it. But isn't this really bad? We'll see. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. I don't know. We'll see. What about this? And you get in this kind of laissez-faire attitude of whatever may come your way. We'll see what happens. And you realize the power in that is, I could do that till the day I die in the worst situations. And then when you die, you have no more problems anyways. So you can do that till the day you die. Oh, this thing happened. Oh well, we'll see. You try the best you can to solve it if it's possible. If you get sick, you try to take some medicines. They'll either work or they won't. Or you can try whatever methods you like. They'll either work or they won't. And we don't, it's not that we want to get sick, for example, or we're talking about sickness. It's not that we want to get sick or like sickness. But we understand that we can't control reality. It doesn't do what we want. So when sickness comes, we say, okay, well, let's see what my options are. You look at your options because God gave us a brain, and that's how we use it. If there's medicine to take, take it. If there's more holistic medicines, take them. Try everything. And if not, no big deal. And don't drive yourself crazy with it. Like, I have to get better. I have to. If you get better, great. And that's what I love about Theravada. It's like, it's very okay with not being okay. It's okay, very okay with not being perfect, whether that's physical health or mental capacity or spiritual levels. It's fine with things the way they are. And that's the true magic, is the complete and utter lack of magic that is involved in it. The simplicity of it is profound, and they call it the noble Dhamma, the noble eightfold path, because uh, the profundity, or I don't even know if that's a word, but the profoundness of it is in its simplicity and its availability and user friendliness to everybody. you know?
For example, we're talking on the topic of health. My health isn't the greatest and I can't control it. So I thought
Mhm.
about the things that are in my control. So I'm doing a holistic course right now, and
Mhm.
it might work, it might not, but
Mm.
whatever the outcome is, I'll be fine with it. But at least I'm giving it a go. But it's
Mhm.
not having that expectation of it's going to solve everything because it
Mm.
might not. Either way, I
Yeah.
have give it my best shot.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
something is very important to our life.
What's that, love?
Something But something is important in our life. Something is I want or we want.
Hmm.
Then we are focused on the something is important.
Some things can be perceived as important in our life for sure. It doesn't mean that, like for instance, children, they're very important. I have children. They're very important to me. And it doesn't mean that if something ever happened to them that I would be delighted or that I would be this way or that way. It's it's just I would still mourn if something ever happened to a family member or somebody I love, but I wouldn't be destroyed if that makes sense. Like I'm still partly a human, so if somebody I love dearly died, I would be very sad and but it would only be, I told my friend this the other day, the burden of proof is always on the person observing and making remarks on something that's happening. So if you see a man who is crying and you assume that they're in a world of hell, the burden of proof is always on the person making the assumption. So even though I may have sadness in the human body, it's like I'm okay with it because it would be a natural type of mourning. It would be in a way therapeutic. It would feel good to a certain degree to honor somebody by crying or feeling sad. And that way, it's, in my opinion, I always thought there's no problem there, um, to mourn something that is important to you that you lose. It's okay. You're partly human. That's fine. But some people who are not practicing the Dhamma might experience the same thing and be in a great more deal of dissatisfaction than need be in that situation. So even though, yeah, things can be important and everybody has responsibilities and things they have to do, but at the end of the day, what the practice is teaching us is ultimately that nothing is a big deal. Don't sweat the small stuff because everything's small stuff. And you don't have to have this idea of I must be this way in every situation. You don't have to be any way in any situation. And that's the freedom of being okay with things the way they are, not as we want them to be, you know?
Mm, yes.
So if you find things that are very important, naturally you're going to have emotional responses if those things go away, and they will go away because they're impermanent. Um, but
Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent.
yep,
Mm.
nothing whatsoever is permanent. Everything changes. If there was anything that was permanent, it would be the idea that everything is always changing. Is impermanence itself is
Yeah.
always permanent. Yeah. But hey, maybe that may not last. I don't know. And that's the cool thing about the Dhamma practice too, is we have to remember ourselves, we don't have to get too philosophical with it. We don't need to over intellectualize it because it's basically the simple practice of remember, look, change, feel good, rinse and repeat. It's not a thing that we need to think about like a philosopher. Well, how should it? It's not a philosophy. It's a practice. It's like something you do. Like we wouldn't necessarily need to philosophize of somebody giving us directions on or instructions on how to play basketball. we would just listen to the instructions and we would do it. And we will either get better or we won't. The proof is in the pudding. So if you're practicing these things I'm telling you and you're finding good results, we don't even need the Buddha. We don't even need philosophies. We don't even need religions. We don't even need people from the past who heard it. We simply listen to some people and we test it for ourselves, and if it helps, then it helps. And then we continue using it. If it doesn't help us, we discard it. That's the correct way to do anything. We have to see for ourselves. I could talk to you guys all day long about this, is this. But the truth of the matter is, even for people who don't practice the Dhamma, anybody can see instances in their life where they were really attached to something or an idea of something. Like, oh, what, like you were talking about with your wheelchair, Sana. Like, once I get this, everything will be different. I'll be on cloud nine. Once I move to this country or get this car or get this house or get this wheelchair, and then you get it, and it's nice, but our expectations made it something that was going to solve all our problems, but there's nothing in this world physically that will ever solve all our problems. So we're always disappointed in the end. And we'll even think back to things that we complained about all the time, like, oh, my other car was better, even though it was a piece of shit. I did like the cup holder better. And like, because we've gotten these habits of constantly bringing ourselves down and constantly, society has taught us to play the victim and throw what my teacher calls pity parties, where we were like feeling sorry for
Mm.
ourselves. And that's a danger. Everybody and anybody and everybody can fall into those pity parties. I've done it. I've had some great pity parties myself in my day of feeling sorry for myself. One of my big pity party things was my parents. Oh, my parents were so horrible. How could they do that? And I have this Shakespearean drama in my head where I'm the center of the novel, of the book, of the play, of the movie, and I'm suffering greatly, and then I'm building up this ego, this permanent self, and then I'm suffering accordingly. But in reality, my mother did a great job raising me. She made me healthy. She fed me milk from her breast. She made me big and strong. She taught me how to love. And even my stepfather, he was great. He built me lots of stuff. He built me like lots of tree houses and stuff like that. He gave me my passion for drawing. So of course, yes, even these people weren't perfect, but for almost 30 years of my life, I would recall how horrible these people were when it wasn't reality. It was just a pity party I was playing in my mind, feeling sorry for myself. And then
Mm.
the Dhamma practice taught me like, oh, that's just old habits that cause suffering, that cause dissatisfaction. They're not really necessary. They're harmful, to be honest.
Mm.
But anyways, you guys got any more questions or anything you want to talk about?
I feel like what came up for me when you were saying that was like you're basically looking at the same situation but with like fresh eyes. So instead of looking at the negative things in the pity party and stuff about your mum, you just flipped it kind of on the positive, on the good stuff that she taught you. Both of them are true, but it's which
Mm-hmm.
one you're choosing to give the meaning and
Yeah.
focus towards.
Yeah,
And that
all
shift
yeah.
can make a big difference.
All their actions were true, both good and bad. But the thing that I have control over is how I perceive it. Like I heard Tony
Yes,
Ro-
that's what I meant.
I heard Tony Robbins say any moment of the day, and all life is just, all our consciousness is just a series of moments, mind moments, moment after moment. They last fractions of seconds, moment. One moment we're born into happiness, we die to happiness. One moment we're born into anger, the next moment we're born into boredom, and so on and so forth. And that's the wheel of samsara that the Buddha was talking about escaping from, the wheel of dissatisfaction that we're escaping from. Um, but what were you saying, Sana? You were talking about,
Looking at the same things with fresh eyes.
yeah, yeah, we're looking at the same situation, and basically what we're doing is we're getting in the practice of turning a bad situation into a good situation. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and Tony Robbins was saying any moment of the day, any mind moment from moment, there's options we have, there's choices. Any moment, every human being has a myriad of things to complain about in any moment, a myriad of things to be the victim of in any given moment. But also, there's a myriad of things to be thankful for in any moment. There's a myriad of things to help nurture us in any moment with wholesome thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Mm.
But anyways, do you guys want to talk about anything else, or should we wrap it up?
Nothing else is coming to my mind.
Good.
I think that all that is coming up is acceptance of whatever's happening.
Whatever happens, don't
It's all
sweat the
going to be
small
okay.
stuff, and everything's small stuff. But what were
Yeah.
you saying, Sana? You said everything's gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Uh,
awesome.
uh, uh, I don't know how to the question. Do
Mm-hmm.
we have uh past, past life, and for that, if we are bad people in in the past life, we can choose the hard life in the
Mm.
moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people,
So the spirit choose our life.
yeah, some people believe in what they call it's a more mundane teaching of heavens and hells and rebirths after we die. And that's a way
Yeah.
you can teach what they call the mundane Dhamma, which is a little bit easier for people to understand. Um, but really, it's not entirely true. Uh, but the thing is, here's the real truth: is when they ask the Buddha what happens when we die, is there rebirth? The Buddha would say, I don't know. I've never died. I don't know what happens after our physical body dies. But in regards to the Dhamma practice, when he was referring to rebirth, it's the mind moments of born into happiness one moment, we die to happiness, born into fear the next moment, we die to fear. And he was mostly observing how most humans ride the waves of their minds in a little boat crashing here and there. But the Buddha kind of learned to surf those things, not let them affect him, but rather flow with them and
Mm.
learn to find a way to change them, a gentle dance around them. Not forcefully stopping them, not playing with the shit and digging through it like psychologists like to dig through their past and which in some ways maybe can be helpful, but I think for the most part, if you see shit on the sidewalk, you just gently roll around it, you gently walk around it, you dance around it. It's not so much like, oh, there's shit, I have to stop what I'm doing and look at it. No, it's not a big deal. You just walk around it, you just roll around it, no problem, you know. And that's getting out of the wheel of birth and death, is not chasing the fleeting emotions as they arise, seeing them what they are, is impermanent, not lasting, thereby letting go of them. Because why chase them? We have the wisdom that it just causes us dukkha. We can see clearly that it causes us dukkha, just like we've been talking about, you know. So that's the real birth and death, is we're born each moment into satisfaction or dissatisfaction. But the Dhamma teaches us how to find a better way of always being born into satisfaction by not caring if anger arises, by coming back to the breath if anger arises, by changing our thoughts, feelings, and emotions with our wholesome speech and actions. and then rinsing and repeating the process. And we take out the baby dukkha plants, the baby dissatisfaction plants will always arise no matter how well we keep our garden. The baby dukkhas, the baby weeds that we don't want there will always arise. And we take them out before they become giant oak trees and are far more difficult to take out. Oak trees of dissatisfaction. We pluck them out while they're small. But anyways, is there
You
anything
mean
anything else?
you mean we have just only one life in the big world? Just only one life?
I don't know. I never died, so I don't know how many lives we have, how many different reincarnations we'll have.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Other people may say they know, and that's fine, but I've never died. I don't know. But I have been reborn and died every moment in the sense of
Yeah.
following emotions, thoughts, and feelings into dissatisfaction. I've been born multiple thousands of times into that. But anything else?
Every moment is a rebirth.
Hmm. Every moment, every moment is a rebirth. But when we're getting
Mm.
out of the cycle of birth and death, what the Buddha is saying is we're getting out of liking and disliking, being and becoming, birth and death. When something happens to us, our bad habit will be, oh, I hate this. I hate the weather. I hate when it snows. I hate it. And then we're telling ourselves with our unwholesome speech and action that we hate something, thereby causing the dissatisfaction, thereby wanting the weather to be different. But for the Dhamma practitioner, when it snows, he doesn't tell himself, or she doesn't tell herself, I hate the snow. She says, oh, it's snowing. Oh, how beautiful, you know?
Mm.
And then we forget about it. There's no reason to hate it. There's no reason to love it. If you love it, fine, that's a little more wholesome, but if you attach too much with it in any liking or disliking, it will cause us dissatisfaction. Like, oh, I love the snow so much, but then when it goes away, I'm suffering. You see?
Mm.
I can just enjoy whatever weather may come. If it's very hot, oh, it's very hot, how pleasant. Oh, it's snowing, how pleasant. You don't have to like or dislike because that's the real birth and death, being and becoming. So we can escape the wheel of samsara, the wheel of birth and death, by not clinging on, by liking or disliking too much, you know.
I really like that.
Hmm. I really like you, friend.
Mm. I like you too.
And
Thank
I
you.
like you,
I like you.
Sepita friend.
Thank you. I like you too.
Mm. Not clinging on by liking and disliking.
Hmm.
I think it's the attachment to things that is the most, because if you like something, you're attached to it. But I guess if you're disliking it, you're also attached to it too. So just seeing
Yes.
it for what it is, like I feel what you're saying.
Because if we really like something, it's not going to last forever, so we'll ultimately be dissatisfied. If we really dislike something, when it comes, and things that we dislike usually do come sometimes, we uh we feel as though it'll last forever, and we feel as though we want things to be different than they are now, and thereby, in both instances, like you were saying, both instances causing dissatisfaction when there's no need for it whatsoever. When bad stuff comes, you can just tell yourself, oh well, everything is impermanent, it won't last. Bad things don't last forever. When good stuff comes, yes, I enjoy the good stuff, I love the good stuff, but I'm not attached to it, so if it leaves, I'm going to cry because I know, yes, this is really fun going to this party, but I know inside this party won't last forever. And in the way, it helps us enjoy it even more because we're living in the
Mm.
moment. We're not thinking of the past future. We're learning to like things as it happens. Because there's so many actors and actresses and rich people who have these amazing lives who travel the world, but then they get to 80 years old and they spend every moment thinking of the future. They never got to enjoy any of that good stuff they did. They look back in their lives and say, "Wow, I went to this place, I went to this country, I went to this yacht." But the whole time I was thinking of what I was going to do the next day, or the problems from the past, or the problems from the future I was trying to solve. I never enjoyed when I got the yacht, I was looking forward to the Ferrari. When I got the Ferrari, I was thinking of the old Ferrari I used to have. It never ends.
Mm,
Instead of being satisfied with, "Oh, how are you feeling?" Good enough. How are things in your life? They're good enough. And if we learn to be okay with good enough very quickly becomes perfect. We
mm,
transform good enough into the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven, like Jesus says, is right within us.
mm,
Yeah,
Oh, excuse me. I am I am in the situation of life. I am waiting and waiting, and
yeah.
I don't like this waiting, and uh, I can't be with my friend uh, very deep, and for that I can't satisfaction from my life.
Mm.
How can I be with my waiting time?
Well, just accept things as they are. And if you feel like, for instance, you want to be with your friends and they're not there, just tell yourself, it's okay. You've been with your friends, you've been in good situations lots of times in the past. And if that was enough to suffice, we wouldn't be wanting more of it. But it never is enough. It never suffices. We always want more and more. So, if you want to be with your friends, sure, do some work so you can be with your friends. Or if you want to be to even another country, do some work, try to do it. And if it happens, good. If it doesn't happen, good. Either way, we're okay. Because we cannot control it. It's out of our hands
Yeah.
how to control the physical world. If we knew that, we would all be millionaires because we creating gold out of thin air, like the alchemist. But like my one video I put the other day, the real alchemy is turning this dukkha into sukha, this dissatisfaction into satisfaction. That's really turning lead into gold. That's turning shit into gold.
mm.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah. And then we.
Dissatisfaction is me unhappy.
What's that, love?
Dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is mean unhappy.
Yes.
Dissatisfaction.
Yes. And if you want to be happy, we're just learning to change our thoughts, feelings, and emotions with our nurturing, wholesome, good speech and good actions.
Yes.
Hmm. Sana's like, I'm out of here, bro.
No, I picked up my book. I was going to read something,
Yeah,
but then
go
I
ahead.
thought I was going to, but then I put it
Oh,
back.
go ahead.
I
You
was,
silly. Go get it. If you
can I get it
want.
back?
Yeah, go get
Okay.
it. You silly Willy.
So normally I read like, oh no, like let me give you an example. For
Hmm.
example, my room is a mess right now, but I can't change it, so I'm gonna accept it. And
Yes.
also, another, I'm just giving you examples of how we can use what you said into everyday things. My
Hmm.
cat has something's wrong with her foot. She's limping. So I
Oh.
rang the vets, but they don't have any appointments available today, so I can't really do anything about it.
Hmm.
So they told me to ring back tomorrow, so I accept that. Just look after her. I'll ring back tomorrow at 9 and take her tomorrow. And I don't know what's wrong with her, but I have to just trust that it will be okay when I take her tomorrow. Because it
Yeah.
did cause me a lot of anxiety this morning.
Yeah. It's a girl or a boy?
A girl,
And it's a cat?
yeah,
Yeah, whatever happens, if she gets better, good. If it
yeah,
doesn't get better, that's okay too.
yeah. I just need to not attach to the outcome.
Yeah. If something bad happens where she's not going to be here
Oh
tomorrow,
no,
then we'll just
it's
say,
coming. She's here.
"Oh, hi, kitty."
but she can't walk on one of her legs because I don't know what's wrong with it. But we're gonna take
Hi,
you to the vets
kitty.
tomorrow,
Oh my
baby.
gosh,
It's
she's so
okay.
cute.
Oh, Harmony, where you going? I hope she doesn't go on the laptop.
I hope
Stay here,
she does
baby.
go on the laptop.
Okay. Oops.
She's
Okay,
very
so
big.
Yeah,
she's actually.
Sepita. She is sweet.
Should I read you?
Yes,
Um,
please.
Simple love. The one who does not love does not know God, because God is love.
Yes.
One of the many blessings of having a special needs daughter was the gift she had to love others without any conditions. Our sweet Brittany did not recognize anyone's differences. She loved everyone. I remember being at a doctor's visit, oh, Harmony, one day, and a sweet, precious girl was sitting in the waiting room with us. The little girl had been born with severe facial abnormalities and was very shy. Her mum told us later that she was uncomfortable talking to people. Brittany just started showing this little girl the teddy bear she always carried around with her. Before you knew, the girl was smiling with laughter. Brittany's simple love showed our whole family that it did not take a lot of material things to love people. She taught us to embrace our moments together and just enjoy what we have and laugh a lot. In John 4, the author wrote that if we are children of the one whose very nature is love, then we will be like him. Practice simple love. Learn to love in a way that when your presence is not there, the joy and love you experience in God remains with others. How do you experience simple love with people? By showing compassion.
Beautiful.
Mm,
That's beautiful.
I know.
Especially because he's talking or she's talking about her special needs daughter. That's
Mm,
wonderful.
I know. It touched me when I read it this morning.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. Yeah. It's some people might look at that situation and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they have to deal with this and deal with that." But if you see the gifts and everything, if you see the value of everything, special needs children are like God incarnate. They just are like pure love. Special needs
Yeah,
people, they're like pure love. They're innocent. They're so sweet. And they really show us what pieces of shit we are sometimes. Because we're complaining about all these things, and then there's these little ones who are so happy, and they may have all these problems, all these cognitive disabilities, all these physical disabilities, whatever, and they show us that, oh, I'm happy because this, because of that. And it's like, here I am with all of this healthy body and healthy mind, and I'm sitting here throwing a pity party. What a shame. What a shame. Shame on me for doing that.
mm,
You know?
yeah,
There's so many people who can find happiness with whatever may come in life, and they're shining examples in the Dhamma for us to look at them with admiration. And actually, in Theravada, the Arahants, I think, are called people worthy. I think the word comes from people worthy of admiration, people worthy of respect. And those like that little child you just read in that book, she's like a little Arahant, you know? Somebody worthy
yeah,
of admiration, worthy of respect. That's why Jesus would go to all the lepers, he would go to all the prostitutes, Jesus would go to all the thieves and criminals, and he would just love them. He would not even teach, he would just smile and just say, "I love you guys, and I don't care about your problems, your so-called problems." He would just be present with them. He would just be kind, not judging. And when somebody's not judging you, it's such a wonderful feeling. Like, for once in my life, I'm with somebody who's not fucking judging me. How wonderful. What a feeling that is.
Yeah, I feel like just to be held, just to be seen, and not held physically always, but just like someone's like, I'm here, I'm listening to you, I'm not judging you, it's okay. I'm
Yes.
holding you with whatever arises, and it's okay
Yeah.
without trying to fix.
Perfect. That's why one of my teachers says, Dhammarato, he says, everybody's enlightened already. Everybody's Buddhas already. We just don't see it because of our delusions, our illusions and
Mm,
delusions in our mind. But when we tell ourselves, who needs to be enlightened? Who cares? Who needs to be perfect? I'm not perfect. That's okay. Then we become perfect with that attitude, with that way of looking at things.
mm.
Ah, well, guys, I think I'm gonna hit the road.
That's okay. I'm gonna hit the road too.
I love all of you.
I love you
I
too.
love you. Thank you.
Much
Thank you.
much peace and love, and I'll post this video maybe today, and you can see it if you'd like on my
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
feel free to DM me if you ever have any questions for anything, you guys, and feel free to DM each other and become friends with each other, because that's what the song is all about, is friendship. Much peace and
Yeah.
love.
Much
Adios,
love.
dudes.